What's happening, everybody? I'm back. It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington, and I'm here with my review for Dolomite Is My Name on Netflix. And if you have not seen it yet, please come on back because there will be spoilers. Let me first and foremost say thank you to everybody who's been waiting on this review, who watched the trailer reaction. I had to wait to see it when it dropped on Netflix like everybody else. I didn't get the opportunity to go to the advanced screenings. It happens. Oh well. I don't trip on shit like that. But this movie is amazing from beginning to end, and I love the fact that if you did not know who Rudy Ray Moore was, if you had no real clue about his backstory, if you didn't understand how Dolomite came to be, you learned a lot. And more specifically, Eddie Murphy is phenomenal in this movie. Eddie Murphy delivers a performance that only Eddie could do. Now, here's the hard thing about this. Rudy Ray Moore was one of a kind. There never was been and never will be another Rudy Ray Moore. So to find an actor, any caliber, who can create that same type of energy, that dynamic, that personality, that flair that Rudy Ray Moore gave, Eddie was the best choice for it. And I saw some people saying, well, Eddie gave the same performance Eddie gave. Nah, Eddie gave you something where he went a little bit deeper, and if you knew the story of Rudy Ray Moore, you had to go into that. And even if you didn't, you took a chance to watch Eddie, and you're like, damn, this man went through all that. And what you find out is that Rudy Ray Moore is a struggling comedian from Arkansas who moved to LA to follow his dreams. He's trying to get songs played on the radio by the DJ who's Snoop Dogg, and it was Ring-a-Ling-a-Dong, which is the most hilarious song title I think I've heard in a while, till I remembered Dr. Dre's Keep His Hands Ring, and the chorus went, ring ding dong, ring a ling ding ding dong. You see how influential certain people can be? But to watch that, to watch him be at a club and try his act, and him being the MC, and him asking the owner, like, yo, why am I not on the marquee? And he's like, yo, you're just the MC, don't nobody want to see you. And a lot of times in stand-up comedy, which I am, for those who don't know, the MC is the least important person on the show. When in all actuality, they can be the most important person, because if the MC is doing, the MC facilitates the show. They get the energy going, they get people hyped up, ready for a comedy show, they get them ready to laugh, they give them the rules, which is no talking in a comedy club. Like, don't nobody give a fuck about your side conversation. Don't nobody, if you got to use your phone nowadays, go outside, all those things. But the MC can do that, and if a comic goes up and bombs, it's the MC's job to bring the energy back up. Well, when the owner was like, yo, you're not the MC, don't nobody care about seeing you, I was like, okay, that tells a lot. The soundtrack for this movie is dope too. We hear Sly and the Family Stone. You hear so many people. To see the legendary Bobby Rush is just amazing. To give that authentic 70s feel, which we wanted. This is a blaxploitation movie within a blaxploitation movie. I love that. One of the things I did not know, that I myself was hella surprised with a lot of people, is finding out exactly how Dolomite came to be. And for those who don't know, again, this is a spoiler review, Dolomite came to be because Rudy was hearing old homeless dudes tell these jokes in the style of a story, which involved Dolomite and everything else we heard. And one night sat down with a tape recorder, recorded everything they had to say, in the story they had to tell, and co-opted into his own style. And that's how we got eventually way down in the jungle deep, a badass lion stepped on the signifying monkey's feet. And it's like, oh shit, joke thievery does happen in all forms. Yes, that is a real thing, ladies and gentlemen. And I know there's some people who are watching this and going to say, well, if they took the joke and made it better, isn't that a good thing? In all actuality, no. Because the problem is the people really don't ever get credit for the jokes that the people who were stolen from. And I know in this situation, it's like, well, he's a homeless dude, so it don't matter. But that is what they had. And this man became a success because of what they had. Now, you even see later, he basically took over their home. They were homeless and living outside the Dunbar. And he took over the Dunbar to make it Dolomite Studios. And we don't know if Rudy Ray Moore ever directly gave back to them. That is something that should be addressed later. But again, this film has the context. We have to get as much of his life to get into how Dolomite came to be in the Dolomite film and thus far. So you have that. To see how he meets different people within his life, how he met Lady Reed, doing the chitlin circuit, which is a real thing people got to understand too. Pardon me. In black comedy, whereas if you're doing some would just say the hood rooms or black rooms or urban rooms, however you choose to define them, if you weren't on the main level, if you weren't on the mainstream and you weren't one of these big comedians who were pairing up with the main, you weren't a black comedian pairing up with the mainstream comedian, you did what was called the Chitlin Circuit, where you went to these small little towns all across the country, whether they be little backwater towns, or you went to a big city, but you did the small shows in the big city. These are all called the Chitlin Circuit, and you did that to build up your name, to build up your reputation, and to show him do that. And at one point, he met Lady Reed, encouraged her to be who she is, to make a character, and then embrace herself and become a success. And that is a beautiful thing. I feel like as a comedian, we have the opportunity to encourage a lot of other comedians. We see a lot of other entertainers that we see. We have, the chance to show that, hey, there's a level of stage fright, but you can also get past that at a point. You can also move forward from that. Now, granted, there's some people we need to tell, like, yo, this just ain't for you, and it's not being wrong. There's some people who are not good performers. There's some people who are not good writers. There's some people who are not good either. It's just finding out what is good for you. Wesley Snipes is comedic fucking gold in this movie as D'Urville Martin. I know Wesley's hilarious from what I had to do watching certain movies, watching White Men Can't Jump, watching Money Train, working with him personally in Chirac, even talking with him. But man, as D'Urville Martin, I was crying when they was filming the scene with the car chase and they made the water splash and it hit him. He says, "I'm brown sugar, I melt." I must have fell the fuck out laughing, because there's something about the way he delivered that is just surreal and hilarious. But Wesley Snipes, Eddie Murphy, Titus Burgess, Craig Robinson, and Mike Epps together on screen are all comedic gold. This is just comedic gold together. This is a lineup that you dream of, that we didn't think we would see in movies like this when it comes to black films for a very long time. You put them together and sometimes they feel forced and you don't get the level you want to get of the comedic value. This, you got it. You got it. And Wesley Snipes isn't even a comedian in the sense of the word. He's an actor and he's done comedic films. But he's mainly an action star. So that was a great thing. What was the other one? The fact that in the beginning, when you hear Red Fox playing in the radio store, when you hear how Red Fox, his jokes, how raw and vulgar they were. This is how Red Fox was. We know Red Fox. Many people know Red Fox from Sanford and Son. Maybe seen him in Harlem Nights or another movie. But he was a vulgar comedian, but he was hilarious. He was that nightclub comic, the epitome of a nightclub comic. To watch the scene, how when he was making Dolomite, how he didn't know martial arts were real, and how D'Urville Martin was like, yo, is there anything you can do to make him look good, any angles? And Nick's like, no, this is legit what happens. That's why I'm glad they showed actual clips from the movie at the end of this, because anything you thought that was possibly like they made this up, this wasn't real, it is real. Dolomite is blaxploitation film at its finest, and because it's like Eddie, as Rudy Murray Moore says, it's comedy, it's action, it's sexy, it's all that together, and it makes you laugh so much. I'm glad I got to see how the infamous sex scene was made in Dolomite. I've always wondered, how did that shit come to be? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you can't remember the scene when he had this big sex scene. They were telling him, like, yo, this is your big sex scene, you ready to do this? And he was nervous about how he performed, and Lady Reed was like, make it funny. And so with all the explosions, the ceiling coming down, everything, and put your weight on it. Now, here's the problem with that too, real quick sidebar. Ladies, if you are with any dude from here on in that has seen Dolomite, or fellas, if you're what you got, and they tell you put your weight on it, please stop what you're doing and get up and leave. Don't encourage that bullshit. Don't encourage that. Please don't let nobody go, ooh, put your weight on it. Don't allow that. Ladies, if you with your lady and she doing you, just don't encourage that, please. Please. Because I heard it, I laughed my ass off. But then I thought, we're in a day and age where dudes are going to be like, yo, this is going to be some cold shit to say in the bed. And you're like, no, it's not. Do not say put your weight on it. But to watch the premiere, how when they were seeing all the bad reviews, when they got to the premiere, when they was just seeing in the paper nothing but negative reviews, and it just breaks your heart, because you put your heart and soul into this. This is what you believed in. This is what you wanted to do. This is what you knew that you should be on the marquee, on the big screen, and all these critics coming out and trashing it. And I know there's been this big thing about people saying critics don't know anything. Critics don't know what they're talking about. Critics have opinions, just like everybody else. It's just that critics are paid for their opinions. That's the biggest difference. I think people got to accept that and understand that. Critics know what they're talking about when it comes to themselves, to their opinions. Their opinions are meant to influence you, but it doesn't mean it's always the right one. It doesn't. But when he goes to the Orpheum and sees the lines crazy to see him, and the 10 o'clock sells out, the midnight sells out. They have to do it 2 a.m. And for him to be the caliber of star and the man who who helped get him to the top, to stay out with the people to 2 in the morning, was really a testament to the person who Rudy Ray Moore was. And I was glad we got to see it. There is so much of this film that is so hilarious, that is so real, that also, if you are anybody trying to follow your dreams, anybody, whether you be in acting, stand-up, radio, TV, professional wrestling, trying to be a pro basketball player, football player, whatever, go by any means. Never let anybody stop you. Push your way all the way you can. You may hit some roadblocks. You will hit a lot of bumps. You will get a lot of no's, but those same no's will turn around and be the people who say yes. Because remember, I think it was one of the production companies, they told him no before. But when they found out he four-walled the theater and sold it out and made 98% profit, my 98% more than they've ever made, something like that, they came back wanting him. So continually push forward with that, man. And that was been my review of the movie. I want to know what you thought in the comments below. So like, subscribe, click on the notification bell. Did you rock with Dolomite Is My Name? Did you really not get it? Or are you trying to find out more about Rudy Ray Moore? I want to hear from you, all right? Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mr. J Washington. That's M-R-J-A-Y. You should know how to spell Washington. Join my supervillain squad on Patreon, patreon.com/Mr. J Washington. And check out the Mad Titan podcast. The podcast where I get you caught up on everything that's happening in the Marvel and DC live action and cinematic universes. It is everywhere you get your podcast listened on, and it is Barbershop Talk for Nerds. So come on in the convo, all right? I'll holler at y'all later. Take care. I'm out of here. Peace.